Over the next few months, I'm on a mission to find Britain's best landscape locations for photographers. Now, what makes a good location is kind of subjective, but I'm going to get out there, see what I can find, and I hope you'll come along with me.
This time, I head to North Wales, one of the best loved parts of the UK for landscape photography. This part of Wales offers dramatic mountain scenery with tumbling streams, glacial lakes and rugged peaks. But there's also some 250 miles of coastline that includes golden sandy beaches and rocky cliffs. At the heart of North Wales is Snowdonia National Park, which has some of the most epic vistas in the UK. I don't know the area well, so I've asked Sigma ambassador Ben Brain, who has photographed extensively here, to join me. As usual, we have just 24 hours to find out what this rugged and dramatic landscape has to offer. I met Ben at the eastern end of Llyn Ogwyn in the north of the national park, but faced with a lot of rain in the forecast, getting some decent light looked like it could be a real challenge.
So tell me about this location and what are we looking at?
Well, I love this part of North Wales, Tim. We've got Tryfan over there.
Yeah. The weather's kind of coming in from over here, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's kind of going right to left in our scene.
Yeah, I mean, and the weather, as we know already, from only being up here a short while, is very changeable.
Yes, yeah.
But this is really beautiful and it's changing so quickly. Okay, you can see it's just beginning to happen now.
Yeah.
In fact, we should really get ready.
Yeah, should we set up, because that's looking promising. It's a fantastic location, it really is. It's
great.
I think the thing with this location is, because we're following a stream up the hillside, the background is kind of set, the view of the background is the same all the way up, so, and the midground really. So I think it's the foreground that matters here and what you can do with it. But it's a brilliant location, it really is. It's easy to get to and very picturesque.
So when I'm in a landscape like this, I find it quite challenging. So I try and start off by asking myself, I try and ask a couple of questions to myself. First of all, what am I looking at? Then how do I feel about where I am? And then maybe how that could have some alternative meanings. And this area is quite challenging. I think it's steeped with history. It means quite a lot to me personally. So there's a lot of that comes into what I'm looking for, not just looking for the classic landscape. We've got some really nice light at the moment. It's changing really right at the moment. You can see I'm just looking around, waiting for it to just get spot on.
It's easy, this landscape game, isn't it? So I've chosen the stream as my foreground. There's a lot of water in it, it's very fast moving, so I think that injects a lot of energy into the shot. So I think that's the right decision. I knew I was going to have to walk a bit today, so I decided to go with something very light. 17mm I series lens, that's in the contemporary lineup. It's incredibly small and light. And then on the front here, I've just got a 55-77 adapter ring, so that, or a step-up ring, so that I can put my 77mm adapter ring on and then fit my filter holder on. And then I've got a grad and an ND filter just to slow the stream down a bit, just so it blurs. I think that's going to look quite nice. I don't want too much blur, but just a bit of movement I think is nice, rather than freezing it completely.
Getting on all right, trying to make some sense of Tryfan here. Maybe using this rock as the foreground interest, the sort of echo, create an echo between the foreground and the background. I'm not sure if it's really going to work.
That's what I lack in my photography. I just try and take I just try and take sort of pictures that are like, that are kind of, like the ones that I see other people take. I never think them out like you do.
Well, that's no harm in doing that. I try to avoid taking the picture that everybody else has taken. But it's always a good starting point to look. I mean, it helps you get to find nice locations.
Yeah.
If anything, this location is almost overwhelmingly spectacular.
Yeah,
So it's kind of difficult to know where to start.
Yeah.
Because this place is so personal to me, and I've been here so much, and I do a lot of workshops. I've been coming here all my life. I try and feed that sort of autobiographical element into the landscape too. I think it's very easy to get hung up on what other people have done and trying to fulfill other people's expectations. I think, you know, when one grows in confidence as a photographer and you understand the language, then you can sort of almost say, well, that's what they did and that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm going to find my own way of dealing with this. I mean, this mountain, I haven't even become close really to get to express how I feel about it.
Yeah.
I think we're just about lost
It's
so
fast,
going, isn't it? The light.
Yeah, very fast moving, isn't it? The cloud. It's
You have to just have a constant look around you, don't you? I mean,
yeah. You can kind of blink and it's all changed.
it's really. I think we lucked out though, Tim.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, given the forecast and what we've got over
forecast,
the next few days here, it's
Considering we got very wet an hour ago,
yeah,
this has actually turned out pretty good.
yeah. All done?
I reckon so. It looks like the light's gone.
Yeah, that's it for the light. I think even if the light was here, it would be missing the top of Trifan anyway, so.
It's getting cold.
Yeah, should we call it a night?
Should we head off?
Okay, let's do it. I'm starving. Starving.
Yeah, I'm quite hungry actually.
The weather had finally moved in, so we gambled on driving north to the island of Anglesey. Our first location, a rocky beach, was incredibly windy with so much sea spray hitting the lens that it was almost impossible to shoot anything. So we tried moving to a different location at Newborough Warren, a broad sandy beach with the famous Llandwyn Island lighthouse. Conditions there though were equally challenging, with very high winds carrying lots of sand, making shooting extremely difficult.
Straight to the optometrist after this, have our eyes washed out. What do you think?
Yeah.
Oh, this is impossible. It's like walking in hail. So that's it.
Yeah.
So we'd have to walk along and then on. I don't think we can shoot in this because the spray is coming in off the sea, which is where we want to shoot towards. It's going to be all over the filters and the lenses. Well, today's been a bit of a write-off. I don't think I can remember a day this raining.
This is arguably the worst conditions I've ever experienced up here. Our first location dogged by spray and wind, and now being whipped by sand, plagued by flat light and ferocious wind. I think we concentrate on the trees.
I think so. A bit more sheltered, not so reliant on light.
Get out of the wind.
And the haze might actually help the shot. A bit, maybe.
I think experiment maybe with this spirit of experimentation in the trees.
Yeah.
With fairly modest expectations.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not bad.
Yeah. Do you do that a lot? Get your phone out and just as a compositional tool kind of thing?
Yeah, sometimes it's more useful than before you get. When my camera's in a backpack like this.
Yeah. I kind of feel like the old way of doing it was kind of to do that, wasn't it? Or
yeah.
But like the phone's actually quite a good way of
Yeah,
doing
I
it.
do have a little compositional thing, but you know, the phone's quite a good way to just quickly
Yeah,
see. I like the grasses.
yeah. There's a lot of movement going on, isn't there?
There's
in
a
the
lot of
grasses
movement,
and
the grasses
and the tops of the trees.
and the trees. The light is
Quite flat.
flat as a pancake.
Yeah. Let's fire a shot off and see what we get.
So I'm really struggling, to be honest. The conditions are very challenging. I'm experimenting a little bit with the movement of the grasses. I quite like the contrast of them. The energy is really quite awe-inspiring, and how I can get that into a photograph is really what's challenging me at the moment. I kind of like the harshness, the starkness of these trees against the grey sky.
What I'm going to try now is some close-up abstract shots of the grasses. So there's marram grasses everywhere, and they're moving so much that I've just figured out that with about 1/10 of a second shutter speed you can get some really nice kind of abstract movement. And if you go side on to the wind, so they're kind of like, rather than coming towards you, away from you, they're side on, they look really good. So I'm gonna go back down towards the beach a bit and see if I can find some nice compositions. I think that'll look quite nice. So yeah, see what we can get.
With the forecast looking more promising, we headed back into the national park to Kidwell, which was the first designated national nature reserve in Wales.
So we are at Kidwell, and the weather is just starting to change, isn't it, Ben?
Yeah, it's looking absolutely great.
The amount of water in this stream is unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not far off coming over the bridges.
I've never seen it like this.
No. Yeah, because you do a lot of workshops up here, right?
Yeah, I do.
So at the moment, I mean, it has been raining pretty much non-stop for 24 hours, which is incredible. I mean, you can see by how much water's in here. I mean, it has been absolutely torrential. And this morning I've been sitting in the car just waiting, and
Yeah.
we finally got a break. And for me, this, I don't know about you, but this kind of weather where you've got, it's not just wall-to-wall sun and it's not just flat grey.
Yeah.
It's that kind of, a bit of both, a bit of sun, a bit of weather. That's the holy grail, isn't it?
It is, absolutely. I think it's going to be really good, Tim. It's looking very dramatic, ever-changing light. Just standing here now, you can just see it changing, the light licking the sides of the hills and the mountains. I think
Yeah.
it's going to be really, really good.
So what's the plan then? We walk up this path.
I think we follow this path around and up to the lake.
Yeah.
And then there's some areas at the top of this river. If I was going to go to one place only to take pictures in Snowdonia, I would come here.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, let's do it.
Kidwell is a glacial cut lake surrounded on three sides by steep walls and offers up excellent photographic opportunity. With its own visitor centre, car park and well-managed footpath, Kidwell is fairly easy to access, making it popular with tourists. So for the cleanest images, it's worth visiting at quieter times of the year, avoiding school holidays if possible. A tumbling stream follows the path all the way up to the lake, so there's lots of shooting opportunities on the way up.
Well, this is, I have to say, this is an absolutely fantastic location for photography. There's the stream on the way up, the lake and loads of foreground interest, and then if you go to the very back of the lake, the sort of the back of the bowl, if you like, looks like there's quite a lot of good stuff over there. There's a path that leads round, so really easy to access it. So I left Ben at the front of the corrie where you first kind of enter this big bowl, and he's found some nice rocks and stuff that he's going to shoot. And I'm going to walk right to the back, nice and sheltered, get out of this wind because it's really, really strong. And yeah, I can already feel it's dropping. So that's great. So much easier to shoot, especially if you're doing any kind of long exposure. And I'm going to walk on the path, and then as you get to the back, the path kind of elevates a little bit, and there's a nice waterfall, and I think there's a nice lone tree up there that I've seen online that looks really good. So I'm going to explore that. It's a bit of a gamble, bit of a time investment. It's probably going to take at least an hour to kind of get up there and back. So, but hopefully Ben can keep himself amused for a bit, and we'll come back with something decent.
So while Tom has been over there photographing, I've been photographing these rocks. I've been here a few times, so I know these rocks, but I've never really quite resolved them, and I find their presence really awe-inspiring, how they're sitting here just in the landscape, and I want to try and capture that. I've come to this angle here where I just like the presence, so you can see I'm a little bit lower down. I've been experimenting with a square format to try and, because it's quite graphic, so I quite like the shape. So I've been looking at the negative space. So the little gap between the rock here you can see and Trifan in the background, I like that little sliver of negative space that I've just been positioning my camera. I put this main rock, I put it right in the middle of the composition, so it's wham bam in the middle, and I've done that really just to emphasize its presence. So, you know, there's no rule of thirds or anything like that. The clouds, as you can see, they're the biggest challenge, is because they actually end up being, the sky is quite a dominant part of the composition. So actually the clouds and the blue sky are quite contrasty. So really I've been here for a while just waiting for them to conspire to be in the right place. So I'm going to wait here a little bit longer and just see how the clouds change. You can see there's been, even without moving my camera, there's been 20 different shots in the last 5 minutes that I've just been talking to you.
See from here, looking down at the lake, that the wind is just whipping across the water. But here, now we're in the kind of the shadow of this back wall. There's almost no wind, so I've just picked this piece of fern. You can see it's virtually, I mean, what is it, 5 miles an hour probably? Not even. So I would say, if you get here and it's blowing a gale, don't, and you know, especially if you're shooting long exposures, don't even bother with the front end. Get up here, get to the back, where you're in shelter, and shoot here, because I think, you know, it's equally as good. I think the views are really stunning. You get a bit of elevation on the lake as well, so it gives you a bit more of a sense of kind of scale. It's a bit more epic from up here, and it's still perfect. It's a good choice, I think. Made the right decision. Okay, so I'm perched out kind of on a bit of the edge of a kind of a gully here. It's not something I'd want to fall down, so I've got to be very careful. As you can see behind me, the sun is coming through a little dip in the hill, it's almost like a little valley where there's a waterfall, like a mini valley. Once it goes a bit further to the left or to your right, it's gone and it won't be on this tree anymore, so I've got to act quite quickly. There's two trees here. I think it's a rowan, and that's alive, and then there's a dead tree a bit further on, and I'm going to try both of them. So I'm starting with the rowan. It's really good to be able to get above the lake and get an elevated view of it. I think if you're at the lake side, you can't really appreciate the shape or the scale or the beauty of the lake properly, I think anyway. When you're up here, you can kind of see the whole geological feature in its entirety, and it really is pretty amazing. I think this is, I would say, one of the best locations we've been to on Britain's Best Landscapes. Really is stunning. So I guess there's two ways that you can make that tree stand out from the background. One is that you wait for the light to be on the background like it is now, but the tree's in shadow, and that kind of silhouettes the tree a bit. The other one is to wait until the tree is in light and the background's in shadow, and that makes the tree pop because it's brighter than what's behind it. So I've just got one of each. Hard to say right now which one's going to look better, but it's nice to be able to have had both, and I can check them out on screen and see which I prefer. But you can see here, there are the two trees, the rowan, I think it's a rowan from, I can't quite see, but just there. And then the dead tree, whatever that was, just a bit further on. So I think in this particular image, there's a strong foreground, the tree, and a bit of this heather. There's a strong midground, which is the lake. There's a definite kind of shape there. And then the background, that mountain against the sky. And I think that makes for a really strong composition. It's really beautiful here, really is.
The Sigma 17mm f4 has been amazing here, as it's incredibly light to carry and extremely sharp across the whole frame. It's also very wide angle, so ideal for the type of landscape image I'm trying to achieve here.
So what I've done with this dead tree is I've kind of got as close to the edge as I kind of feel like it's safe to do. I've got some moss in the foreground. I've got the tree on the right-hand side of the frame so that it doesn't intersect with the lake at all. I want to keep the lake as its own distinct feature and the tree against the hillside, but it does poke out into the sky. And actually, because it's got white bark, it does stick out quite well against the land. And I've just taken a few shots before the light went of the tree lit, the background lit, both lit. And actually the light is really, really beautiful, even though it's like 2 o'clock or something, 1:30. It really is very, very nice light. I've just got a grad on to calm the sky a bit, but other than that, I'm just using a relatively fast exposure. And this, I have to say, this is a really, really excellent location. It really is a good one. Okay, well that's it from us on Britain's Best Landscapes, North Wales. It's been an amazing shoot. I loved it here, and thanks so much for bringing me. It's been brilliant.
It's a pleasure, Tim.
Yeah.
Lovely to show you around the area a little bit.
Yeah.
I apologise for the rain.
That's okay.
But
we'll forgive you for that. We'll forgive you that.
We've got some great opportunities nonetheless.
Yeah.
And as you can see, with some lovely light.
Yeah. So the three locations that we kind of went to, or we tried to go to, were not far from here, down the valley a bit.
Yeah, the other end
sort of opposite Trefan.
Yeah.
And then we went to Anglesey.
Yes.
Because the weather was so bad, we tried to escape the weather and go north, which was lovely but just wet.
Yeah.
And because of that sea spray, it just wasn't possible to shoot.
Yeah. And then back to this location here.
It was really great to have you along for the journey. See you soon.